hero to so many of us. I've got to say, it feels incredible to officially call myself an author, in part because of the shoulders of James Baldwin that I certainly stand on, and so many of us. And so, happy 100th birthday to James Baldwin. Live from Chicago, you're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. If you're wondering where all the noise is coming from, it's because we are live here at the National Association of Black Journalists Conference here in Chicago. And so you never know who may run up and what we might hear while we're live on the air. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. That's DRNII-QUARTELAI. Pro tip, if you just type in Dr. Nii, DRNII, boom, bam, boom, we pop right on up. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580, and like magic, there we are. Last but certainly not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580, the only Black-owned and operated talk station west of the Mississippi. Hello. And if you haven't already, it's not too late to purchase your copy of Kamala, the Motherland, and Me. It's my new book. I'm really excited at how much enthusiasm there is for this story. It fills in a lot of blanks that some folks might have about the vice president, or now I can say the Democratic nominee for president, Kamala Harris, on the world stage. And so be sure to pick that up. I'm calling it required reading for this election cycle and beyond. And so go ahead and log on to Amazon or Barnes & Nobles or any online retailer where you can get it. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And kicking us off again, she's making history. USA Today is reporting that Harris makes history as the first Black woman, Asian American presidential nominee. Hello, somebody. The party votes have been cast, and Vice President Harris is officially the 2024 Democratic presidential nominee, making U.S. history as the first Black woman and first Asian American from a major party to win the designation. Harris secured the Democratic nomination on Friday afternoon. That's this afternoon, James Baldwin's 100th birthday. Hello. Receiving the majority of votes, at least 2,350 from her party's delegates. Just one day after voting opened, the Democratic National Committee held a live stream video hosted by the Biden campaign aides and DNC Chairman Jamie Harrison to mark the occasion. Harris said that she will officially accept the nomination next week, once the virtual voting period concludes on Monday. She added that she's looking forward to the DNC convention that begins August 19th, where right here in Chicago, where she'll have an opportunity to celebrate this historic moment. We all will have an opportunity to celebrate it together. And so congratulations to Vice President Harris for making history yet again. Pivoting from Vice President Harris to another candidate that is aspiring to make some history of his own. Some folks here might think it's the wrong kind of history, but it's history nonetheless. North Carolina's GOP candidate Mark Robinson, a harsh abortion critic, reveals that his wife once had the procedure. The Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina is out with a new TV ad where he and his wife reveal that she had an abortion 30 years ago. In the ad, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson and his wife talked directly to the camera, revealing few details about the procedure beyond his telling viewers that 30 years ago, quotes, "My wife and I had to make a very difficult decision. We had an abortion." Later in the ad, Robinson says he agrees with the current abortion restrictions in North Carolina, which limit the procedure after 12 weeks of pregnancy, with exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother, and says that's why I stand by our current law. But the ad comes as news organizations and Democratic groups in the state have for months unearthed controversial comments Robinson's made about abortion, including in a Facebook live stream in 2019 where he said, quote, "Abortion is this country is not about protecting the lives of mothers. It's about killing the child because you weren't responsible enough to keep your skirt down. That's what he said. That was a quotation. That's what he said. And now he's singing a different tune. And I think Mark Robinson, like a lot of Republicans, are running scared because they know that men and women across America, no matter how they feel about abortion, they don't like the idea of the government deciding for the women of this country. And the hypocrisy abounds. You know, he just decided to share that him and his wife had an abortion 30 years ago, but meanwhile, he's been saying, do as I say, not as I do. It's that hypocrisy that is energizing voters and not in their direction. And this is just me this isn't just me talking. Look at every election in which abortion has been on the ballot, state by state. Places like Ohio, places like Kansas. Just saying, they know it's not a winning issue and they are trying to change their tune. Finally, TikTok has been sued by the Justice Department over alleged child privacy violations impacting millions. USA Today is reporting that the U.S. government accused the popular social media app TikTok in a lawsuit today of committing privacy violations that left millions of children vulnerable to data collection and adult content. The accusation against TikTok and its parent company, ByteDance, center on the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which prohibits websites from knowingly collecting or using personal information from children under 13 without their parental consent. TikTok and ByteDance violated the law and related regulations by actively avoiding deleting accounts of users that they knew were children. This is according to that legal complaint. And so we're going to continue to hear more about protecting our kids online and offline. And you're seeing right here that the Justice Department is moving at deliberate speed to hold TikTok accountable for this. We'll see what becomes of it. When we come forward, we're going to be talking to my friend, your friend, our friend, April Rain. She is joining us for this pop culture happy hour. You can hear the happy hour excitement already in the air here at the NABJ conference in Chicago. We're going to be talking to April about some of the biggest headlines that are trending, including Harris's win of the Democratic nomination now that it's official. We'll also get her take on some of the VP finalists. Harris's search for VP is narrowed down, and we're going to get April's take on who's made the list. And then a little bit later, the true millennial, J.D. Vance, he posted his whole life online. We'll check in with April and see how well that's working for him. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. Tavis is like George and Wheezy. He's moving on up. Last year, Tavis was number 45 on the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Wait for it. The 2024 list was recently released, and Tavis has jumped to number 33 on the list of the nation's most important talkers, making him the highest-ranked African-American on the coveted roster. Congratulations to Tavis Smiley from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580. We've got you black.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
What's wrong?
My travel rewards card didn't earn enough miles for my vacation.
Are you crying? Are you crying because of that other credit card?
Uh-huh.
Well, switch to the Capital One Venture card. Venture lets you redeem miles on any travel purchase.
Really?
Yep, and you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every single day. The Capital One Venture card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk. We're unapologetically progressive and we don't black down.
You're listening to a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and we're live here at NABJ, that is the National Association of Black Journalists. We are here at this conference here in Chicago, and I'm really delighted to welcome April Rain. April Rain is a friend of the show. She's a creative consultant. She's founder of Oscar So White. I would also add that she is a culture critic, and we are delighted to have you back with us today.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here with you on this Friday.
I know, and for folks who are streaming in, that James Baldwin t-shirt is something I want to have in my collection.
Thank you. Got it from a Black-owned business. Let me stand and just give you a little bit more. I absolutely love this shirt, so I'm happy to share the link.
I love it. I love it. And happy 100th birthday to James Baldwin, whose work continues to move us forward. Let me tell you what work didn't seem to move us forward. I'm here at the NABJ conference in Chicago, and I've been talking to other members of NABJ who are still recovering from Trump's visit to NABJ, what some folks are calling not the best moment for NABJ for a whole host of reasons. Some might say I'm at the scene of the crime here at NABJ, and I put it that way because I don't know what Black folks got out of that experience. I don't know what news and information of value came out of that conversation. It seemed like an entertainer was given a pretty important platform to entertain and to not inform. And that's no knock on the sisters that, came together to co-moderate, who were attempting to do their best, but I think it fell flat, and I think it became what so many of us thought it would be if past is prologue. But April, what say you?
I think that you are being incredibly generous and diplomatic, sitting right there in the belly of the beast. But they probably can't hear me. So I will say that I think that NABJ did not hold itself accountable while still saying that they wanted to hold Donald Trump, the former president, accountable. For those who don't know, every election cycle, NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists, invites both presidential candidates to its annual convention, which this year, where Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey is in Chicago. And for the first time, even though he had been invited in previous years, Donald Trump decided to come. And one can start there and ask why he decided this year. And it may be because both he and his vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, are not doing well in the polls. Everybody is rightfully calling them weird. And so this was an opportunity for him to change the narrative. What I think needs to happen going forward is a question about NABJ's credibility, because so many of us have asked the questions, why would you platform him in this way? Why did you not fact check him? Why did you not protect and stand up for the Black women that were on the stage? Because in 2018, NABJ came out with an official statement saying how disappointed and concerned they were with the way that Donald Trump was treating Black women journalists then, and nothing has changed today. So going forward, I think questions need to be asked of NABJ President Ken Lemons and the entire leadership about how they are going to restore the credibility for this very storied Black press advocacy organization.
I think you're absolutely right. And Kenneth Lemons, the president of the National Association of Black Journalists, has an open invitation to join us right here on A More Perfect Union to really tell us something that we don't know about what went down here in Chicago. He has an open invitation to lay out what was the decision-making process that led to the conclusion that they were going to invite the former president here. And, did they poll members, for example? Because I'm a member. I don't remember seeing a survey asking me about, if he should be invited and if invited, how that should go down. I think this could be a tremendous learning, not just for NABJ, but for the industry. But in my view, if you continue to treat him as you have treated every other contender for the White House, every other former vice president, I think you miss out on the fact that, well, he's not your typical former president. 34 count conviction. This is someone who fomented an insurrection. This is somebody who basically tried to steal an election, and we could go on and on and on. And this isn't opinion, this is fact, right? And so to give a platform to that individual to be able to, peddle in lies and misinformation in real time, I think it really calls us all to account for what this platform is really intended to do, right? NABJ is not a news outlet. It's not a news organization. It's an association of Black journalists. And so for all the people out there saying, well, they had to extend an invitation to him, I don't buy that argument, but I'm willing to have that conversation. So again, Kenneth Lemons, President NABJ, we hope you're listening.
I would also add Executive Director Drew Barry. Either one of them, I'm sure you would welcome on your show to talk about the fact that they were not protecting the same Black women that they were supposedly supporting. It's really a concern. And even on social media, we saw that there was one Black woman who was on social media sort of taking the brunt of all of the pushback, including pushback from me about what was happening in real time. And President Lemons and E.D. Barry had the opportunity to say something, and they were silent, issuing a statement the next day.
Look, there are layers for us to pull back related to this story. And, who knows whether or not Vice President Harris will, participate in September. There are folks saying that she will. But there was a lot that went down here that we'll have to talk about, and we will continue to do our part to dig deeper, bringing in experts, and I hope that the leadership of NABJ also joins us. Speaking of Vice President Harris, it's no secret now that she has won the majority of votes to secure the Democratic nomination. She has made history yet again. April, talk to us about what this moment means to you and for you, in addition to all the great work that you've done and continue to do. I know that you were part of a campaign, to make sure that Joe Biden made good on his commitment to appoint a Black woman to the Supreme Court, and he did. And Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has not disappointed her supporters. Talk to us about what this moment means for you as an advocate for Black people and Black women.
Yeah, we've been using the word unprecedented a lot. And it's sort of starting to lose its value. But this really is a historic moment. This is the first time that a Black woman, that a South Asian woman, that a woman of color has been nominated by a major political party to be the presidential nominee. And so I speak the name of Shirley Chisholm, who put a crack in that building, in that ceiling. I also speak the name of Hillary Clinton, who got us further than we had ever been before. I speak the name of Barbara Jordan. You know, I went to both undergrad and law school in the state of Texas, and Barbara Jordan did so much for Black women in Congress and in the state of Texas. You know, and so I think I am currently sitting in my mother's office. This is not my usual background, here outside of Atlanta, Georgia. She is 79 years old, and she is beside herself with joy that she has the opportunity not just to see the first Black male president, but also the first Black female president in her lifetime. And she was working the polls 4 years ago to make sure that things didn't go awry, at least at her particular precinct. And she is ready to help get out the vote again. You know, it's just so important that young Black children and brown children are able to see what is possible in this country, because we see so much state-sanctioned violence. We see so many times that our rights are being infringed upon as women, as people of color, even children, and what they're able to learn in their books, right, in school. And yet here we are with the presidential nominee of a sitting vice president. Let's not forget that either, right? I mean, that was historic in and of itself. So we need to thank Joe Biden for being the ultimate patriot, as I mentioned last time on this program, of stepping aside and saying, you know what? I think I can figure out what is going to energize this party and what is going to get us across the finish line, because we choose hope, not hate. We choose passion and persistence, not Project 2025. And so this is our moment. And regardless of how you identify, as a woman, as a queer person, as a disabled person, as an older person, as a Gen Zer, there are affinity groups that you can get involved in to help ensure that we elect the right person as the next president of this United States. So please reach out in your communities. There's lots of social media afoot. Make sure that you are registered and confirmed, because there's some shenanigans going on there. So even if you haven't moved in 20 years and you voted 50 times, please ensure that your registration is updated and correct, and get involved for this next less than 100 days that we have until the election in November.
You make a really great point about folks, you know, sort of double checking their party registration and making sure all your voter registration paperwork is in order. Don't wait till the last day, which is election day. But as we know, election day starts sooner than that, because in so many states across the country, you can vote by mail. And you can go to iwillvote.com to learn what the rules are where you live. So, you know, you don't have to wait till the last minute to get the information that you need in order to cast your vote, because every single vote is going to count. We saw last election, the incumbent president was sort of shopping around state by state, trying to get enough votes to flip the outcome. Now, if we all make our voice heard at the polls, we don't have to worry about anybody shopping around for votes, because we will have made our voices heard fairly decisively. That's what we have the power to do. And April, to your point earlier around the narrative and what this historic moment.
And remember, you can vote by mail.
Yeah, you can vote by mail. I mean, this historic moment, it's pregnant with possibilities for so many generations to come. It's part of the reason why I wrote this book, Kamala, the Motherland and Me. It's part of the reason why I'm out there telling the story of what I saw, because so many people don't think that it ever happened and can hardly believe it. And so we know narrative change drives so many other aspects of change in society, and we got to be about that work. When we come forward more with April Reign, we're going to talk about how VP Harris is narrowing her VP search to now 6 finalists that she plans to interview this weekend. We're going to talk about who they are, and we're even going to get a sense of who April is rooting for on this short list. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis with the latest from the Black Information Network. Kamala Harris has secured enough delegate votes to become the Democratic nominee for president. She crossed the threshold of delegate votes during a virtual roll call today, and Harris will officially accept the nomination next week, as well as reveal who her running mate will be. Fast food workers in California are demanding another raise in the minimum wage. California Fast Food Workers Union says the latest increase from $16 to $20 is not enough. It's seeking a raise to $20.70. A meeting with the state's fast food council is scheduled for later this month. And today in U.S. history, back in 2012, the U.S. men's basketball team put on the greatest offensive performance in Olympic history with a 156-73 rout of Nigeria. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com. Stay safe out there. Have a great weekend.
It's Mattress Firm's semi-annual sale and clearance. Save up to 60% on a wide selection of quality mattresses at every price. Plus, score a free adjustable base with a qualifying purchase. Hurry and stop by Mattress Firm today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
More track and field events are coming up tomorrow in the Summer Olympics. The finals in the women's 100 meters, women's triple jump, men's decathlon, and the men and women 4x400 relays. If you missed the live coverage in the morning, most of these events will be replayed Saturday evening. Lakers center Anthony Davis said his right ankle is 100% healthy for tomorrow's game against Puerto Rico. Davis tweaked his ankle Wednesday against South Sudan. The U.S. Olympic men's basketball team is in the quarterfinals. Tip-off time tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. on NBC and the Peacock channel. The NFL preseason kicked off last night with the Chicago Bears and Houston Texans meeting up in the Hall of Fame game. First preseason game for the Chargers is August 10th against Seattle at SoFi Stadium. The Rams play their preseason opener August 11th against the Dallas Cowboys, also at SoFi. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
With reported hate crimes rising in recent years, California has responded through outreach efforts across state government and in collaboration with community-based organizations for the launch of CA versus Hate. This non-emergency, multilingual hate crime and incident reporting hotline provides an anonymous reporting option for victims and witnesses of hate acts reported in 15 different languages through the online portal and in over 200 languages when calling the hotline. Report anonymously by calling 833-866-4283, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or online at any time at cavshate.org.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarship/official rules.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. If it's a little noisy, it's because we are right here in the mix in Chicago, live at the National Association of Black Journalists Conference. I jokingly said earlier, the site of the crime from earlier this week when the former president was here. I mean, you know, there's caution tape everywhere following that melee on stage. Not a physical melee, everybody. I'm just saying, you know, we all saw what went down on stage in the Trump so-called interview. And I don't think folks feel it was the finest moment that we've seen on the NABJ main stage. But again, Kenneth Lemons, the president of NABJ and the leadership of NABJ is welcome to join us here on a More Perfect Union open invitation. And y'all can, you know, pass the message along to them. But right now, I will say that the invitations have narrowed in terms of potential VP picks for Vice President Harris. This weekend, she's said to be interviewing the finalists for the job. And there are folks on this list that have been much talked about, and there are other folks who have been less talked about. Those finalists are, at least according to the Washington Post, Governors Andy Beshear of Kentucky, J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, and Tim Walz of Minnesota, as well as Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who's been a guest on this show. I should also mention, so has Governor Shapiro. And Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona is also on this list. April, if you were advising Madam VP as she makes really the first important decision she will make as the Democratic nominee for president, what say you?
Well, I would narrow it down to two, between Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky and Governor Tim Walz, I think, of Minnesota. You know, they have both been doing an excellent job out there supporting Vice President Harris, you know, stumping for her. And I think that they could really bring something to the ticket. You know, Andy Beshear, you know, talks like a moderate, but rules as a liberal in his state of Kentucky. He's been very forward thinking, and he can speak to rural voters, which I think is something that Vice President Harris needs. I also think about Tim Walz. I want to credit him. I may be a little off, but I want to credit him with starting the whole Trump is weird thing, which has really taken off. And so we see the excitement that he is building. I think, unfortunately, we still talk a lot about age. We know that Donald Trump is the oldest nominee for president that we've ever had. But one needs to think about that a little bit, because you think about the president, hopefully they'll have 8 years, and then the vice president will be 8 years older. And so, some of the candidates skew a little bit older. I think Mark Kelly is interesting, former astronaut, astronauts, and he's an Arizona senator. The issue there is that if we lose him as a senator, then that makes holding the Senate precarious, right? Because there would have to be a special election, and we don't want to lose the entire Senate. Secretary Buttigieg, I think, is phenomenal out there. He can throw shade like a solar eclipse and smile.
He can. He one of the shadiest members of the cabinet. In fact, I think throwing shade should be an Olympic category. And if that was the case, I think Secretary Pete could bring us back the gold.
I agree with you 100%, but that is why I think he needs to stay where he is. He already has this federal job. He's doing great as Secretary of Transportation, and Fox News seems to love him, which is surprising. It's sort of, I don't know, it's like it's masochistic the way that they invite him on just so that he can cut their feet out from under them. And so I would love to see him stay in the position that he has, because if he's vice president, he won't be able to be as open as he is now. Shapiro, he would be interesting, but and he could hopefully sway Pennsylvania, which is something that we really need. But there are some allegations that are coming out recently about some of the things that he's done that make him perhaps not the first choice, right? Because we want somebody that is going to have a crystal clean record so that there aren't any issues on the campaign trail. Not to say that any of Vice President Harris's final six would have any issue dealing with JD Vance on a debate stage, because I mean, you talk about weird. That man, he's flip-flopping. First he said, Trump was like Hitler, and now he's his presidential nominee. The things that he said about quote unquote childless cat ladies has really revved up a bunch of women, especially white women like Jennifer Aniston, push back, because there are women who have chosen not to get pregnant for whatever reason. There are women who have been struggling to get pregnant and cannot. And what he said is that he thinks that women who do not have children for whatever reason shouldn't have as much say in the democracy of this country and the ability to vote as women who have become mothers. And I think that is abhorrent. So JD Vance it has been bringing down the Trump ticket, and it is marvelous to see.
Well, speaking of JD Vance and bringing down the Trump ticket, the Washington Post is also reporting that JD, who is a true millennial, his first millennial on a presidential ticket, he has posted his whole life, as a lot of millennials have done, online, and it may be coming back to bite him somewhere the sun don't shine. In 2005, while serving as a combat correspondent in Iraq, he started a blog, and in 2012, he created his first public Spotify list called Making Dinner, featuring, guess who? Backstreet Boys, Justin Bieber, Florence and the Machine. I'm not sure if a lot of people would expect a VP nominee for president to enjoy the same music that so many of us also enjoy. But this is what may get him into trouble. His Venmo account was public too. According to a report by Wired, his, quote, friends on the payment app included Tucker Carlson. He also tweeted and deleted. He yelped. There's a lot there, and which makes me wonder, what law firm did the vetting for JD Vance, and why are they still in the business of vetting? Because this doesn't seem like they did a very good job, unless you see something different, April.
Absolutely not. I feel like somebody threw a dart at a dartboard and missed and still said, close enough, and let's put JD Vance on the ticket. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's not clear what he's bringing to the ticket. And in fact, the polling shows that his numbers have gone down in the past week, not up. So he is actually harming the Trump Vance ticket, which I love to see. Bring on more of it. There are things about him having intimate relationships with furniture, and we don't know what that's about. There are things about him being
with
interested.
Furniture?
Couches, specifically. Yes. Y'all, wow. You don't. This is news. Okay.
Is that like he's like a part of like the kinky community? It's like a kinky thing.
I'm not going to ascribe any terms to it. There was an allegation that perhaps couch cushions were a place that he liked to place his.
My! Oh gosh! Okay. Wow.
So it is unclear. It is unsubstantiated. But he actually hasn't said, no, that's not me. So, and there are also, you talk about him making things public. He did a search term for a dolphin fetish. And that's not me making something up. There's something about him looking for stuff about dolphins, and so what I think is super interesting, and I don't want to, let your freaky flags fly as long as it's legal and you're not hurting anybody that's fully consensual, right? that it's not that. What it is,
that's your freaky flag.
What I think is most interesting, though, is that JD Vance has put his entire life online, and we're still waiting to see Trump's tax returns from 8 years ago. right? Remember that he wanted to see Obama's birth certificate, but he didn't want to let us see what his taxes look like. We're still waiting for the medical information from that ear issue that he had on stage. I'm not going to call it an actual shot because there may have been ketchup at the podium for all I can tell. And when
I will just point out that at NABJ, I did not see any bandaging on the ear. I was not here, but just from the feed, I didn't see any bandaging on the ear. And so maybe that means that his ear has healed, that he is healed. I don't know.
Sure,
I don't know.
But I saw the bullets that were used in that gentleman's gun were like this, right? And so, and even a couple of days after the so-called attempt, he was out golfing, of course, without a bandage. And yet his supporters call Democrats cultists. But you saw at the RNC, they all had a piece of cardboard and some masking tape stuck on their ears, to support their guy. So it's interesting what information is being shared by J.D. Vance. And yet there are still a whole bunch of holes about Trump's background that we don't know about.
It's a lot of weird stuff. As Governor Walz has said, it's weird. It's weird. It's a lot of weird stuff going on. More with April Rain, creative consultant, culture critic, founder of Oscar So White. It is Pop Culture Happy Hour, and you can hear folks here in Chicago have started the happy hour. More of the quiet part out loud when we come forward. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
So the thing no one tells you about periods is that your flow changes every day, and so should your tampon size. Tampax has 5 absorbencies to match your changing flow. If it's uncomfortable to remove, go down a size. If it leaks, go up a size. And only Tampax has a leak guard braid to help give you up to 100% leak and odor-free protection. All-day comfort and protection for up to 8 hours for under $5 a month. Based on average U.S. consumer usage at manufacturer's suggested price, however, pricing is at the sole discretion of the retailer, excludes 8-count packs.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase & Company.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Biana's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
What? Yeah. The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Dollar, that's what I need.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates small businesses, the enduring lifeblood of our community, with the launch of the KBLA SMB Marketplace. For the first time, small to medium-sized businesses will have an opportunity to promote their goods and services on KBLA and take advantage of our powerful reach and local marketing power. The SMB Marketplace is hosted exclusively on KBLA1580.com and is accessible from all our social media channels. Whether you're a small mom and pop restaurant, a car dealership, or a professional practitioner, we invite you to join in this new KBLA Talk 1580 initiative to promote your business. As a Black-owned small business, you don't want to miss this unique opportunity to gain new customers on KBLA Talk 1580. For more information, contact us today at smb@kbla1580.com. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And if I share with you my story, would you share your shadow with me?
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We are live in Chicago at the National Association of Black Journalists. And it's time for the quiet part out loud. NBC News is reporting that Elon Musk made a Kamala Harris deepfake ad go viral, sparking a debate about parody and free speech. That's right, a fake Kamala Harris campaign ad using a manipulated version of her voice has become a flashpoint in the escalating debate over how to treat manipulated media, often referred to as deep fakes, ahead of the 2024 election. You see, the fake Harris audio, it recirculated by Elon Musk in a post that's been seen, get this, by more than 150 million times, including digs about diversity, President Biden, and border policies, as well as edited clips from real Harris appearances. But the reaction to the deepfakes of Harris have been divided, with some saying it's an example of a dangerous type of manipulated media that needs tight regulation, and others saying that it's a clear example of parody and thus deserves a different type of treatment. I say that it's a slippery slope. I say it's one thing for us to trade memes throughout the day with the people that we love and care about. It's another thing to manipulate the speech, the content of what the Democratic nominee for president has to say about her vision for the future and how she and her party intend to move this country forward. It, to me, belongs in the bucket of mis and disinformation. And this content oftentimes hits the mark as hate speech, not free speech. But April Rain, what say you?
I agree with you 100%. And listen, I love tea, I love shade, I love all kinds of petty sarcasm. I love it all. But one must know that that's what it is, right? And the problem with this particular ad is there was no way to know that it was fake. You know, if you're going to put parody or what have you, use animation, I'm all for that. But people need to know that this is something that is being used for entertainment and not something that is attempting to sway undecided voters, which can be very concerning. And let's remember, this isn't Musk's first foray in this way. Initially, he said he was going to contribute $45 million a month to Donald Trump's election campaign. And then he walked it back because he ain't got it like that. And if you remember, we've talked about this before. And so now he's not going to get the $45 million. And one must wonder how much money he is giving and whether he's giving it in a legal manner. And I say that because it has just been reported that Elon Musk has created a PAC, a political action committee, collecting voter data from those living in key states through an online register to vote, I'm using my air quotes, a register to vote form that does not actually directly register people to vote. So what he is doing is getting people's polling information, where they, how they plan to vote, that kind of thing. And then he'll be able to target them because he's got their names, he's got their emails, he's got their addresses, and he's going to use all of this to help get Trump elected. Let's remember that he is also a billionaire. He's using the entire Twitter platform. He is suppressing, speech. He is suppressing free speech, and the Republicans are all about free speech, right? But he is suppressing speech of people who are voting for democracy. He is altering the algorithms so that some things are seen and some things are not seen. He should not have this much power in an election, especially as someone who has triple citizenship with South Africa, Canada, and here. I mean, let's remember, who he is. He is a South African white nationalist, and he is having this impact potentially on the elections, which is why it's so much more important that we all make sure that we get ourselves out to vote and we get all of our family members, friends, and community out to vote. You vote early, right? You can do absentee voting, you can do mail-in ballots, because nobody wants to stand on those lines, and hopefully those lines will be long on election day. So please make sure that you are prepared so that we can combat the misinformation and the disinformation and the straight up lies that are coming out from one side of this election process.
Well, and while we're at it, I mean, I think you've laid out very clearly what's at stake in this election, and who the players are and what their motivations might be. But you also underscore the importance of whoever occupies that Oval Office. And I cannot let us bring this show to a close without shining the light on the diplomacy, the high stakes diplomacy that has taken place over a long period of time. President Biden pledged to bring back our fellow Americans who've been held in Russia wrongfully, and did exactly that. And that's no small thing. The Washington Post reporting some of the inside details of the deal that led to a blockbuster prisoner swap between the U.S. and Russia. For the past 2 weeks, we know that the Biden administration officials were confident that they had finally secured a deal to release more than a dozen journalists, pro-democracy activists, and wrongfully detained Americans from Russian prisons. And that negotiation had been painstaking and sometimes faltering. But now 16 people, not one, not two, not three, not four, and that would be a lot, but 16 people were on the verge of freedom, among them Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, serving a harsh sentence on baseless accusations of spying, Washington Post contributor Vladimir Kara-Murza, among the most outspoken critics of Russian President Vladimir Putin, and Paul Whelan, a former Marine who had languished in Russian prisons for more than 5 decades over a trumped-up charge. These are just some of the folks who were free, who were released, who came back to the United States yesterday. And so we've got to give credit where credit's due. We can't become a more perfect union if we're not enforcing our ideals, our Constitution, if we are leaving our fellow Americans behind. And that's not just when it comes to economic prosperity, but it's when it comes to freedom itself. You know, the same energy that we all had around the release of Brittany Griner is the same energy that so many of us have and should have around the release of this latest cohort of wrongfully detained prisoners. And so, hat tip to all the diplomats in our country and abroad that worked out front and behind the scenes to make this happen. It's no small thing. April, in our final 30 seconds, I want to give you the final word on that.
I just think that this is one more of the hundreds of accomplishments that President Biden has secured during his time, his administration, along with Vice President Kamala Harris. You know, she was right there on the tarmac, welcoming our citizens home. And so voting for her would be to continue the good work that President Biden has started. And she has already indicated where she wants to take this country in the future. And I'm very much looking forward to having the first woman of color as president of this United States come November.
And we're going to have to leave it there. My thanks to our dearest April Rain for raining down your wisdom and your insights. We are better for it. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, my friend. Enjoy Chicago.
Absolutely. You've been listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. It takes a village to produce the show each and every day. My thanks to our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer who's working overtime today, Miles Lowe, to our show producer, Robert Battles, and our podcast publishing guru, Odell Bodie. Remember, don't panic, y'all. Organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. And you can do a lot if you keep reading Kamala, The Motherland, and Me, available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and every online retailer. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.